Aloha and welcome. Today I have a wonderful guest, a friend named Vivian Dean. She's been on Kauai for a couple of months now, and we've become friends. And when Cameron left the show just a little bit ago, his last talk was about nature. And nature's been a big part of everybody's life here on Kauai, and especially mine traveling. And this weekend, a big part of ours. We went to Polihali and tried to get to Milili'i paddling. It was a little bit rough, but the experiences of getting to Polihali and being there and leaving were all about peace. We're all about the transformation that I was talking about amplification of your energy field. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today, and how we can see that in our life on a daily basis. And this last song, Imagine, by Herbie Hancock, it's imagining on such a large scale. But if we can imagine on a day-to-day scale of how can we be peace, how can we bring more into our lives, how can we show each other what that peace really is what can be really powerful on a day-to-day, minute-to-minute level, don't you think?
Yeah, and it's funny, I'm just getting all my goosebumps, because, it's really about sitting here with each other and really listening. And what nature brings, that gift for us to listen to, and the magic of the listening, and in every situation, whether we're kind of, driving our car and having some real experiences, or, out sitting with the waves, or we're up hiking or kayaking, or wherever we're going to be, is finding that peace. And it's really interesting. We went to go out in the kayaks, and I have a real natural physical aversion to kayak. And I do it, but the first 2 hours I just rant and rave and just try to find this balance in my body, and my shoulders kind of wick out, and my arms, and I just sit with it, and then I start to sing. And when I start to sing, then I can find the peace. Well, after 2 hours, I'm in this beautiful place of peace, because I've just kind of let myself go through it and embrace it, and finding, in Kauai, that's the magic she brings to remind us,
Yeah. We can bring ourselves to it, right? We bring all of our stuff, and then we remember. So when we were there yesterday, I paddled out off the beach. I wasn't going to go anywhere except out. And when I turned around and looked back after being out quite far, looking at how small the people were on the beach, and how small the trucks were, and how small the tents were, it really made me see we feel like we're such a big piece on this planet, and that we're, there's so much pollution, and we think of the negative things of the impact of humans. But when you step back and see how vast Mother Earth is, how big she is, and how little we are, it makes you see that whatever we do, whether we think it's positive or negative, the Earth is going to do what she does. And it just showed me so much about myself and about the Earth, and how we can change our thoughts and really see the beauty, and really mirror that beauty inside of ourselves.
And then it's interesting, because when you get to that place, it's not like we step away from self-responsibility. We actually amplify our self-responsibility. And so then we understand ourselves more about how the small actions of, like we saw a lot of garbage and things being left on Polihali, and so those, people are just living in nature in a one, and it's like, okay, but where is the action to just pick up what you are? Where is our energetic space? And what are we doing with that as well? So it's really intriguing when we stand back, see the distance. It's not like we're not a part of it. It's just actually understanding the magnitude of the magic, and then where we embrace the peace in more and more in our self-responsibility in it. And, where we walk, where we put our feet, what energetic space we're walking into. We were invited to walk up into one of the cliffs, and, we were showing some beautiful experiences of magic, but, I was really heard my higher self say, keep low, because we were walking on rocks, and neither of us had intended on going up there, had the proper shoe wear, just keep low, be respectful of where we were, what the environment we were around, where we were putting our feet, and what was going to embrace us, and then the peace comes in that, and then we got to look out that 180 view, which was just phenomenal up there, and just feel the blessings of wow, just wow.
Yeah, and it was the same view, except from Gaia, from the earth part, as I was seeing from the ocean. And it really, the view went all the way down to Barking Sands. You could see, it was just so stunning. And it also made me feel the vastness and how small we are. But with ourselves, the impact within ourselves is so large in our own little worlds, Our little worlds, they're pretty big worlds. But as you see that, you can get that sense of how much you effect and affect the world.
So it's the paradox, of the peace.
Right.
The smallness and the vastness in the same magical moment, which I'm sure you've all experienced here on Kauai.
And the other piece that was really wonderful was paddling to Polihali. All I kept getting drawn to was the mountains all the way. I mean, we made it about halfway to Polihali before the wind to Miloli'i. Before the wind was so strong we had to turn back because we left late in the afternoon. But the mountains kept drawing and drawing and drawing me, which I hadn't felt so strong. And it's so important to know that every place is sacred on this island. Wherever you're drawn to is the place that you can merge your energy with that energy of the land or the rocks or the mountain or the sea and really experience that oneness that can open you up to a whole different perspective of life and how you can be in your community or in your family. It's really powerful. And as we came in, it was so interesting to see how you get tested. We were talking earlier about, we were driving in and there was a tourist in a car that was challenged by going to Polihali because there was quite a bit of sand and they got stuck like 3 times. We were just following and then we'd all get out and push them through the sand. And for us, it was like a gift that we could be of service. And for someone else behind us, when they came up, they were like, why are they doing this? Why are they here? So you can see the different perspective that you can take and how it can affect your whole journey.
Yeah. And how it affects other people's journeys. Because even when we assisted, right, and there were some people who were feeling very agitated because they couldn't move so fast, and, because some of the tourists' car couldn't move in, and it was great because we just held the space with them and for them, and the tours were so grateful, the visitors were grateful because they got through it, and it also held space for these other people, So when we share that love and the magic of that blessing of just being, because we really are just being in that essence. We're not doing anything, but we're just being and holding it. It does shift everyone along the line, so it runs smoothly, so the personalities don't flare up,
right.
So the energy doesn't move to another field, right? Which is never fun when you're driving through sand and there's like other drivers behind you wanting to go somewhere, it's just hard enough driving through the sand,
if you haven't ever done it, it's stressful enough. Right? It's like running out of gas on a busy highway. You're so embarrassed already.
That's right.
And then you have to get help.
Yeah.
So yeah, a different highway. A different highway.
Kind of highway.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, and we also saw coming back how much just giving love can help with people that are agitated again, and how, we live in fear so much about doing what is right, what we think is right, as opposed to what our heart might tell us that's right. So I invite, everyone to really feel with your heart before you act, so that you're really responding from that place instead of reacting from a way your mind has always worked or a way you think someone else will judge you to be doing the right thing. And it can rock your world. It can definitely shift things up. But when it comes from that deep place of love and you explain things from that deep place of love, no one can be defensive. It really just dissipates any energy that's coming to you.
And, I just want to share, our experience there is if you're not in that love, that's okay. It's okay to not be in that love when you're going through that. We had an experience where we were looking for ice, and because we needed to put ice on one of our bodies because one of us had fallen, and my partner went in, and he felt that there wasn't a great exchange when we asked for ice, and he got really agitated. And he wasn't in that moment to share the love, but he got in the car, he's kind of sharing it with me, and I said, yeah, but can you feel like where he couldn't be there? That's great. We embrace that. We bring the love to that too, right? It's also embracing that, the emotions. But, can we feel that if we stood back from that and understood maybe they're having a bad day at that place, really they just were asking for us to say, hey, pay attention. Can you guys stand back? I call it, in my relationship with my husband, going long. Can you go long? Can you find the space between me and that other person where we can extend this love energy and this peace? Can one of us stand back and give it, whether one of us is feeling grumpy or we're irritating each other, and it really is in those small moments that makes a change in this world. The big moments are magnificent and we see them and stuff, but it's these small moments that will change this planet instantly into the magic.
The truth is, we get to start all over again every single day. And we kind of forget that. We get into our routines and, we do the same things and we talk the same way. And, everything feels like it goes back to the same way it was. Especially for me, I was gone for 3 months and then I come back and I have to get back into the flow. And my understanding for me was that I have to do everything different. I need to change the routine of how I do the same things I have to do, clean my house, do the yard, do my work, but it has to be done for me in a different way with first of all, different frequency. And when I feel that same old overwhelm, well, it's not really the same old overwhelm. It's completely different. And knowing I have a choice. Oh, this is just a feeling and I have a choice. You ever had that feeling, Viv?
It's just so amazing. And we have a home on Vancouver Island up in the Pacific Northwest, and Kauai's been our home for the last couple of months, and it is our heart home, absolutely. And here we're able to live so freely because of that. We don't have the patterns. We don't have the concreteness of owning a home. We just have been moving freely and fully, and it is that incredible reminder when you travel to bring it with you. And we're just about to leave this island, but I don't really believe we're leaving. We're just actually journeying off the island. And what I'm learned and what some really gifted people have been teaching me here is the ability to take the magic and see it and contain it in my body so that when I journey off of Kauai, that magic that it is in all these different layers and moments is coming with me.
Right.
And I was sharing with Taj this morning, I was in my meditation and I was visualizing the space we were at in Hanalei and seeing that energy come into the home that we have on Vancouver Island so that when I get back there, the oneness, there's no delay, there's no gap. So the oneness is there with me because I find sometimes when we travel physically from geographical places, there are different frequencies, they have different resonance, there's different vibration. And if you've been attuned to one, like particularly when you come off of Mama Kauai, you're very attuned to it. It's a very deep heart resonance. And then you go to other places. How do you keep that vibration without feeling the peace? And, it's really about keeping those blessings and those magic moments all around us, alive, not in memory, alive in our
and
heart.
You instill it into the place that you are. So that place isn't just the place that it was. Now it's a different place.
So when the patterns, like what you were sharing, when the patterns come up after the travels, either off the island or coming back to the island, right, and the patterns start to repeat themselves, there's a reminder of something that's bringing you, how do we choose that differently? Right. How do we be in this differently, right? And, that's the gift of us in this moment, and that's the gift of 2012. Everyone's talking about so much shift. That's the gift of the shift. If we can remember in these moments every day, how do we choose to be in that magic? How do we bring that vibrancy alive?
Yeah, into the mundane of, we think it's mundane, but actually there's nothing that's really mundane in our lives, because if we look at it as a meditation or a place to expand our energy, to shift it, it's a practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't do that all the time. I definitely fall away from that. And then all of a sudden I realize, oh my gosh, I'm just in fear. It's almost always that I'm in fear, or, I mean, I don't think I've had boredom in my life ever, where some people I know, they feel that way. Oh, it's so boring. But, it's how you perceive the reality that you are in.
Yeah.
So,
and how you let it be fluid, some people are bringing up the word spontaneity, being spontaneous. But for me, like Kauai has been so reminding for fluidity. So, the rain and then and then the sun and then the heat and the wind, it's just like, how do we be fluid? And how do you be fluid in your day-to-day when you go from your dishes and then you go from a phone call with your kid? Or, how do you be fluid to move through those moments and embrace yourself through those moments, however you're going to experience them, but being fluid enough, just letting yourself be fluid enough.
Right.
So you don't get stuck in that, oh my God, this is work, or I have to do this, or, where we all go.
You said a really powerful 2 words, embrace yourself. How do you embrace yourself? What does that really mean? To love yourself, even when you've been angry, even when you've been short. It's like, it's just acceptance. Yeah. Okay, I did that. Now, do I want to do that again? Is that my choice?
Or even like this morning, because I was pretty grumpy at a moment, it just happens, it comes through me. I'm like, oh, here I am again, I'm grumpy. Just letting myself know I'm grumpy. Okay, I'm grumpy. That's where I'm going to be. Can I embrace my grumpiness and then breathe deeply, and then also letting people around me know, which is,
that's the key right there.
Right. So then I'm not creating the patterns, and falling into it, and then just going through, okay, seeing it, loving it, and it's just so, last time we left, we journeyed off. Well, that time we actually left Kauai, and I didn't think I was coming back. And, it really, I left a part of me here, and it was a really hard thing for me to go back into where, Vancouver Island. And this time it's so different because the magic has so part of my cells, and I'm at peace with all that this brings me now. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like I'm leaving anything, and I'm feeling like, it's coming forward with us as we journey elsewhere. And, I invite all Kauaians and your every day to do it. And when you're leaving this off, going off island, just to remember that. Yeah. We live in the most magical place on this planet.
We do. And it can seem really harsh sometimes.
Yeah.
And as I began the show, it was about what Cameron was talking about, nature. And where we were traveling was almost continuously in nature. And this island, we have these places we think are special. And there's so much more. Every plant that you connect with can reflect back to you about you. And when you expand into, let's say, your yard, and whatever you put in your yard, your energy, or just receiving the gift of the flowers, it changes your perception. It really does. And we all have flowers in our yards, or we go and buy flowers on Saturday. And really, instead of seeing them just as a flower, but seeing them as another energy, is so powerful to do.
Yeah.
And we really saw that while we were in Polihali, from the dolphins that we were connected to the rocks and the side of the hill and
the sand, and then all the people and all the kids, and it's just so amazing. And the birds, remember those beautiful cardinals? We saw these orange, phenomenal, not the ones with the red head, but they were orange, full-on cardinals, and they were just brought us so much life, and they were just sitting there, just singing their beautiful songs, and it's just being, wow, just absorbing that in. And, it's, I had a really profound moment the other day where, you smell the incredible smell of the different flowers here, and I realized, like, the literal, what it meant just to smell the flowers. If everyone, it's so, everyone says it, but dear, when you really smell it, your body is so happy. It makes you so excited. So...
Yeah, it's so amazing what she was talking about with the birds. I've never seen so many birds in one spot that were cardinals, red-headed and full-bodied ever before. And so nature was really, really talking to us and coming really close. And, when you just honor that connection and then listen, because you can telepath with every animal. They're just waiting for us to really connect with them and receive the gift that they have to share. Their love is so powerful.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, what does it mean to telepath? And people are like, lots of people understand telepath, but telepath is really just our way of communicating through our heart field. It's a way of really sitting in the same resonance. I mean, we can telepath in many different aspects, but it's just our inner communication where we're like, whoa, we really are with one entity. It's really starting to get the depth of that with each other, regardless of the species or plants or whatever we're communicating with, right? And I mean, it's such the,
When you go into your heart and people say, well, what does that mean? I mean, there's lots of ways to do it. And one way that we can do it is just to merge into our heart. I mean, even our physical heart, imagine your whole being in that physical heart and that heart expanded to be as big as you and send your love from that place. It's like, there's so many ways, but that's a real tangible way to visualize and send that love energy out to whoever needs it,
And, for those that have journeyed for a long time and are very attuned with themselves, the other day we were in meditation and the dolphins brought the simplest message again forward, be one. It's not a word. They're asking us to absolutely take the next step vibrationally with each other. Vibrationally, and those who have journeyed for a long time really know what that means, but they're asking us to take another step of this and let the onion layers come down a whole nother layer with ourselves. And so I really encourage us wherever we are on our path, that simplicity of listening and you go, oh, I've heard that before, oh, I know what that means. I really hear Mama Kauai and Mother Nature, Gaia is really just saying, okay, but can we listen to another tune? Can we listen to another octave of this?
Right. It's really important right now. Remember that everything we do, every thought we think is amplified now. So what is it you want to have amplified out in the world, in your family, on the planet, on Kauai?